Hey, and welcome to my show, Outside of the Vox, where we explore different perspectives on approaching one's path as a voiceover talent. I'm Naomi Mercer-McKell, a voiceover talent of over 18 years, and I also teach voiceover business and marketing courses like Outstanding VO Branding and Campaign Creator and the Workflow of VO. But I always preach that you gotta find technique coaching to accompany whatever it is you're really targeting as far as your path in voiceover. What genre are you going after, right? So we are gonna put the spotlight on coaches. Today's guest is Arianna Ratner, one lovely lady. So I am beyond pissed. That's not the right word. Okay, so I am beyond devastated. I just did the most fascinating interview with the lovely and modern, quirky, real, intellectual, warm voiceover talent and coach Arianna Ratner, and it was fantastic. She just has so many great things and stories and experiences to share about her career and about her coaching. And anyone who's watching this knows about technical difficulties, whether they're in audio or video. Apparently, in this whole interview with her, everything she said was perfectly captured. And everything I said, like right here would be where I was talking, everything I said was not captured at all. It only captured the system audio. So what a major bummer. The best I can do though, since this was an interview of Arianna, we have everything that she said. So I'm going to show you the questions that I asked her, and then I'm going to show you her super interesting responses. And then make sure that is something that I double test next time. But at the end of the day, you're still going to hear everything that you need to hear, which is the stories and experiences and advice and things to say that Arianna Ratner has to say. So here we go. Let me just introduce her real quick. Oh, this girl has been in, the industry as a whole, her whole life. Her father is a voiceover talent. She has, I think her first voiceover job was when she was like 5 or 6 years old. She primarily specializes in animation and video games today, and she also does coaching, pretty regular animation coaching at Real Voice LA, and she also does private coaching. As you can see, there's a button to book private coaching with her right there on her website. And anyway, so without further ado, let's get into this interview. If you are someone who is interested in working in voiceover, she is a great person to learn from, whether you show up for her workouts at Real Voice LA virtually when she has them, or if you are looking for a coach. And then the last thing is she produces demos with Real Voice LA, and all levels of them. She will write them, direct them, everything, and that's another really cool thing that she does that has amazing feedback from top tier agents, so you know her stuff is good. So okay, without further ado, we are going to make do, and I am going to give to you my next episode of Outside of the Vox with Arianna Ratner. Describe to me your path to becoming a voiceover pro. When was your first VO job, and what was it like?
So, I grew up in voiceover. My dad has done it my whole life. And
this is where I asked, is your dad repped at Atlas?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's been doing my whole life. He did, in the 80s, he was on G.I. Joe. He was Flint on G.I. Joe, the cartoon. So it's like people who grew up, early 80s are like, oh my gosh. And now he does a lot of, he did affiliate station radio, a TV affiliate and trailer, that kind of thing. So I grew up hearing that under my floor. Basically, his studio was under my bedroom floor, so I would hear it every morning. And my first job, I I'm not 100% sure, but I think my first job was like a Barbie dream house commercial when I was like 7 or something like that. Yeah, I also did on camera and I did like looping when I was little. So I think the first thing on my IMDb is like some Jack Chan movie or something that I'm from LA. I grew up in Silver Lake in LA. And yeah, I just kind of grew up in it, did modeling and on camera commercials and a movie, really, really bad Carrot Top movie. Like, that was my one movie. I was up for, I was up for some really I almost was the little girl, Matilda's best friend in Matilda, but then they went with the little black girl, and yeah, and then I almost but that little girl is the cutest thing ever. She's like the I don't know if you remember that movie, she's like the cutest voice. And then I auditioned for, like, Parent Trap, but I was, like, a little bit younger than Lindsay Lohan, so they were like, I ended up auditioning for another role. They were like, "We like you," but I didn't get that one. So, there were a lot of almosts, but I did a lot of commercials and some TV and movies and stuff when I was little. Um, but yeah, I think that my first job must have been that Barbie Dreamhouse commercial. I'm not sure.
Here I say, now that I have young kids, I'm curious what it's like for them to have a parent that's a VO talent. It's cool to see that you were inspired by your pops.
Yeah, followed in his footsteps and then had to, like, prove myself, like, I had a lot to prove 'cause, I'm with the same agency. Obviously, like, there's certain nepotistic things that, work to my advantage with him. I've been with Atlas, my agent, since I was 18, though, when they were in New York. Uh, but and then when I moved back to LA, I transitioned to them at some point, and, now I'm with them on my own accord, but, like, 'cause I book stuff for them, but yeah, definitely it was, like, hard. I had to, like, get out from under my dad's shadow and prove that, like, I actually have way more acting training than my dad. He has a great voice, but I have way more he'll say it himself, like, I have a BFA in theater and, like, years and years of training, and he went to film school.
I said here, hey, so can we talk about your branding? Because it's fabulous. In my course, Outstanding VO Branding, I talk about great branding. And in a couple Google searches, I stumbled across your stuff, and it's great. So I used it as an example a time or two.
I made it myself. I made it on Squarespace. my husband always makes fun of me because 'cause I'm, like, tinkering my website all the time, and he's like, "It's fine, like, what is your website doing for you? It's not getting you work." I'm like, whatever." Um, yeah, and, I mean, so I really like fashion, like, there's a couple if you go to some of the other things I made, like, About Me, I think there's, like, a I used that format. I made it on Canva and then just used it everywhere. I don't know. I mean, I really like fashion. I worked in high-end retail for a long time and had a vintage brand, and I love, like, I also do, interior design. I haven't done it for a little while, but I do, interior design and staging. So design is just, like, part of my, like, branding, I guess. So I just yeah, those were, like, colors and styles. I kind of, like, modeled it after some, like, websites that I really liked. Um, yeah, I think I tell my students, like, you just want it to represent you, like, not you know, everyone does these kind of boring websites with, like, a picture of a microphone, and it's like, no offense, but, like, okay, you got a stock picture of a microphone. Who are you?
Here, I'm like, yeah, every single voiceover talent has a microphone.
Right.
So, next question. You are a great talent with plenty of work. When and why did you decide to start giving back as a teacher?
So, my friend Craig Lee Thomas, who's a voice actor, and he's an on-camera actor and voice actor, and we went to NYU together. He had started teaching commercial at Real Voice LA with Mike DeLay, who they had worked together years ago at a bar, or like a bar that was like, and they were friends. And then Craig was teaching there, and he was like, we went to coffee, and he was like, "You'd be a great teacher," like, because I basically he calls me his voiceover big sister, even though he's a year older than me, because I got him into voiceover, like, I told him, like, all the teachers to take from and stuff, and he just started doing it, and now he's, like, doing so well, and, like, we're in some of the same games, I'm so proud of him. And so, yeah, so we went to coffee, and he was like, "You should teach, like, if you wanna teach character stuff, like, I can totally talk to Mike," and so I went and met Mike at Real Voice LA. This was before COVID. It was probably 2019, I think, and, like, beginning of 2019 maybe. So I started teaching in person classes, like, once a month at Real Voice LA, and then COVID happened, I transitioned to Zoom with Real Voice LA, and then with, like, the upsurge of Zoom, I don't know if that's the word, up the surge of Zoom, um, yeah, I started getting private coaching students through Real Voice LA, like my former students, and then just, like, it kind of snowballed from there, getting people finding me on just Googling me somehow because I think I have, like, a kids voiceover, blog post or something, so I teach kids sometimes. But I just love, like, I trained a lot, like, I went to theater school and then have been doing training for the last, like, 14 years in voiceover specifically, so I just, like, I'm really passionate about acting, like, so I really wanna share what I've learned, and I also just love seeing people improve, like, it makes me so happy when I get emails that people are like, "I just booked an animated series," or like, "I'm so grateful," and, like, also just seeing the arc of their work, it just makes me so happy. I love it. Most of what I do on a daily basis is privates. I'm a coach on Skills Hub, which is, uh what's it? Jennifer Hale's, website. I haven't done it yet, like, I haven't actually, like, put my schedule availability there, but there's a lot of amazing coaches on Skills Hub, which is this. Yeah, I just basically yeah, someone can hire you directly, like, there's amazing people like JB Blanc and, like, Chris Borders, like, really, really good, and Jennifer Hale, I don't know if she coaches privately, but she runs it. Um, so I haven't done it yet because 'cause I'm just so busy, and I also just had a baby 3 months ago, so I'm not working as much. Yeah.
And here we talked baby talk. She has a 3 month old baby. I have a 3 and 4 year old, so fairly recent babies, and it was wonderful. And I'm sorry you missed this baby talk and talk.
I know. I can't I can't believe, I mean, it's exhausting. Last night, he did not sleep well, so I that was hard, but I'm used to no sleep now, so.
What teachings and services do you offer? Do you help people with demos as well?
At Real Voice LA, and one something I was gonna say about Real Voice LA is, like, Mike, who is the most, I don't know if you've ever met him or virtually or anything, but he is, like, the sweetest, yeah, he is the coolest guy, sweetest, chillest, like, he's my boss, but, like, not, he's, like, my friend. It's funny, and he's not really my boss, but, like, I think it's funny to call him my boss. But, yeah, he is the best, and he makes incredible demos, and so he just one of the demo director writers was leaving, and he was like, "Would you be interested in writing and directing demos?" And I was like, "I've never done that, but yeah." And then I did it, and we've just been on a roll and gotten really amazing feedback from top agents. And I'm, I feel like in my head, maybe it's in my head, I have to fight to feel like I'm legitimate against all these like older male demo producers and writers. But like, I just love this stuff, and I want to direct animation or video games like at some point because I just love directing. Um, but yeah, we make demos, and Mike also keeps the pricing really fair compared to other demo producers. And his demo, the pricing for just a regular demo is like, I think it's like almost half of, or is half of what some of those other demo producers who do great work do, but a lot.
Are extremely expensive, like 3 grand or above. Okay, this is one of my favorite questions of the interview. I said, you actually come from a fairly traditional path. You've studied yourself, got the training, made the demos, signed with the agents, and now you book the jobs. Can you tell me an example of a time when you thought pretty outside of the box of industry standards was something you did to move your voiceover career forward, and what results it gave you?
I randomly, I forget why I started my a TikTok, like, during COVID, and I made a weird video about how, because I played the babies in The Sims 4, like, all the baby sounds is me. Um, yeah, so I did a video of just, like, me being like, "Hi, I'm Arianna Ratner, I'm a voice actor, and I do play the babies in The Sims. I'm gonna do some baby cries and sounds for you," and I did the sounds, and I mean, people hated it people were like, "Fight or flight, this is triggering my fight or flight," 'cause it's like baby crying. But yeah, so that got, like, a couple million views on TikTok, and then I just started doing more videos, and my biggest video has been like a how to do a little boy's voice, video. Um, yeah, it's like 6 million views or something like that. Yeah, so, I mean, that just happened, and then I actually, like, stopped doing TikTok videos because I honestly felt a little bit like it was a toxic environment. People are really mean in comments, and they think you don't read them. Um, and I would be, like, reading all the comments and, like, taking this in and just being, like, getting down about it, and then I would also spend, like, hours making a video, like, 'cause, like, setting it up and editing it and redoing it. Yeah, and I just yeah, and it just didn't, like, feel good, and it was, like, almost like an addiction, like, I would have to see how many if the video did well, and it's an algorithm, it's a weird algorithm that sometimes doesn't like you. Yeah, right, and so, like, I just stopped making the videos really, and then I've done a couple recently because I had a video game role in Cookie Run Kingdom, this game that has a big following. And so I did like a sorbet shark cookie videos and stuff. But yeah, I mean, from TikTok, I still get jobs. Like I still get people reaching out. Yeah, and I just connect them with my agent, and some of them are legit jobs. Like I got some good things last year through my TikTok. People just reaching out from that. Yeah, and you can make money, like, you can charge a lot for a TikTok video. Like, if I kept doing it and started I could have made, like, a lot of extra income. It wasn't worth my time and my energy. And now that I have a baby, I'm like, "There's no way in I do wanna do, like, a baby cry, like, a comparison video.
This led me into a question I've been wanting to ask her because she's like known for her baby voices. I was like, now that you've had your baby, would you change any of your baby voices? Does it further legitimize your baby voice?
So, what's funny is when my baby was born, he had a very specific cry that sounded like a goat, like a little billy goat. Like, "Eh," like a little, like, you know what I mean? And I just, like but I couldn't do it, like, I couldn't do it exactly. So I was like, "Damn," like, I can't, like, mimic my because I can do baby cries that sound like someone's baby, but it wasn't my baby. Um, but definitely, like, since then, he's gotten older, I can do his cries, and it helped my baby sounds a lot. Like, it helped me, like, give me more things. And I mimic him all the time. We will just talk back and forth, like, I'll copy him because he, like, talks a lot. He, like, makes a lot of sounds, and he's like, "Okay, why are you mimicking?"
What gear are you using in VO lately that you love?
So, I have been using my Gefell M930 microphone for years. I think I got it, like, for my 30th birthday, so I've had it for a while. Gefell, yeah, it's the original Neumann. So Neumann was Gefell, it's a German brand. It's up there with, like, Sennheiser and Neumann. Yeah, I've been th you know, I've thought about getting a shotgun mic, and people are like, "Your mic's really good, why would you get" like, so I basically went to Vintage King Audio for my 30th birthday and was, like, testing out all these mics, and this little mic, it's literally, like, this small, it's really tiny, it was, like, the best one, and the guy literally was like, "Yeah, this is one of the top mics, but, like, no men will buy it because it's so tiny." I'm like I was like, "I'll take it." Yeah, and it's great for travel. I have, like, a Pelican case with the microphone foam, so it fits perfectly in there. And I use that and an Audient ID4.
What direction do you see the voiceover industry going in? As in, how will it look in 5 years and in 15 years?
Oh, that's so interesting because I know the old school voiceover world really well and the modern voiceover world really well, so I've kinda seen it change. Because like, back in the day, my seeing how my dad's world worked, so small, yeah, and they would go into the studios all the time. He would go to, like he was the voice of ABC, KABC in LA, and he would go into KABC every single day, or several times a week. So I it's interesting because during COVID, obviously, everything became almost completely remote. I've had a lot of sessions recently where they want me to come in, because I think engineers are really sick of, like, people having different quality, sound. People are messing up and they're, like, stopping like, never stop rolling, like, once you're rolling, just leave it and then send them the whole WAV file. People are stopping and then it messes up their end. Um, and I think they're sick of it. So I think a lot of jobs are becoming, like, preferential for you to go in. They for me, I'm like, well, my agent will be like, "She has a breastfeeding baby, so, like, you can't if you wanna give her breaks and her husband will sit outside, sure." Like, won't take a bottle. So I think that in 5 years, I think that I I love my union, but I think a lot of more work is gonna go non-union unless there's something that is figured out with the union and voiceover. Um, so I hope that, SAG-AFTRA still controls VO in 5 years, but I don't know. Um, or says it still works with VO. Obviously it will, but, there's just more and more work that's going non-union. Um, and then, uh, I think that remote will become more standard. Um, Potentially, like, I've been sent a rig for certain video games, like a certain microphone that they needed that they use standard for everybody, and they just have a messenger send it over. It probably cost them $100 or something, but it's like, it's worth it for them to have the same quality of the microphone, even if they, like, FedExed it, even if you booked something and you're in Dominican Republic, right? Yeah, so, like, they could FedEx it. It's probably expensive to FedEx to the Dominican Republic, you know but you know what I mean, like, then they spend the money to FedEx the rig and everyone has the same mic. So, I think that remote stuff will continue to be a thing. Um, 15 years, I don't know, I hope my husband keeps talking about how AI is just gonna take over our jobs.
'Cause this is where I launched in and was like, girl, speaking of AI, I did an AI voice for a company last fall. And last week, because I just assumed, well, not assumed, you should never assume when you're signing contracts, but the way that we talked about it, it was going to be for more like long form work, like big, long jobs. And instead, look, people are like, oh, good job on the Doodly spot. It's like a YouTube pre-roll
Weeks.
commercial.
I could just make a slideshow presentation. But who really wants to watch that? They are so boring. Doodly lets me make professional videos with no camera and zero other tools. And it cost me just $67 for life.
Trippin'. I would know. I bought Doodly. I own Doodly. I paid that $67 like 7 years ago. So I would remember if I did this spot. So I was like, no, that was not me. And I had to contact the company and be like, whoa, so you're using my voice for people to pay for it for commercials? You just charge per word? What, elaborate on this again for me? And she was like, your character, it turns out, is doing really well, and you might not look at it like you lost out on a job to your own cloned voice, but rather other cloned voices lost out on a job to your cloned voice, because that was the market that this company was in. They were already going AI with things. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be on the forefront of this. And I really like the idea of being forward thinking about this coming change that is just unavoidable. And how can we adapt and, take advantage of the opportunities if we look carefully enough? So that was my 2 cents that was completely missing from this interview, so I had to give it to you again. Any other details or anything that you want me to include when I post this final interview?
I think one of the things I've been thinking about and telling some of my students these days is, first of all, it's not the be all end all when you get an agent. You can get an agent and not book work. It's about um, procuring your own work in different ways. It works for different people. For me, I don't do like direct marketing to production companies and stuff because I don't do a ton of like e-learning or corporate narration work. But for me, my regular work is more the bulk of my work. So it's the casting directors I've worked with, the video game production companies I've worked with who just hire me without auditioning. That's like what I found, and I have like a group chat with a bunch of VO ladies who, we kind of formed this thing before the ladies of the mic thing. So I'm doing, yes, we have a group of girls. We've been like, we had in-person meetings before COVID, and then Zoom and stuff, and we made the podcast. But oh yeah, I have a podcast. That's something. But we haven't done it in a while. But we're gonna do a mom episode now that I'm a mom, and Francesca Monzi, who is also in it, is she just had a baby. And there's other people, yeah. But basically that, you know, our work, most of the people who are working in VO, pros in VO who've been doing it for years, their work is not 90% from their agency. It's 2% of auditions. Maybe you book 2%. That's good. If you book 2% of your auditions in a year, that's good. And most of their recurring work is from looping, dubbing, regular roles on video games, work with regular production companies, commercial work, affiliate work. That's really how to be a working actor in this. Um, and it's not the be all end all to be like, my goal is to be on an animated series. Great. Then you're on it for one season or a couple episodes and it's over. Like, yeah, your goal should be to be a working actor and to make those connections, be a kind person so people think of you and people want to work with you again. You want to leave a good impression, and have a lot of my work has come from like friends of mine in the industry who recommend me. Um, I have a potential animated series that is in the works. Like, I did the pilot and potentially have another pilot with the same production company. I got the pilot, I auditioned for it, but I got the audition through my friend in voiceover who recommended me for this show from this production company. And like, that's what it is. It's connections and being like kind to everyone, relationships, people getting to know you, being active. If you like social media, being active on social media so people get to know you and see you're helpful and kind. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is it's not the be all end all to get an agent. Yes, agents are great. My agents get me way more money than I would have gotten. So if I get that email, yeah, like if I got like the jobs I had last year, that I got a random email that I can tell is a legit job, and I'm like, let me pass it to my agent and get them to give them a rate. They got way more than I would have gotten for myself. So I'm grateful to my agents, and I do book through them too, but it really is connections and regular work and procuring your own work. Yeah, just having someone vouch for you and say you're worth more money than you think. Like, I'm scared to like say my rate is really high. I'm like, oh, I don't want that job to go away. But my agent's like, yeah, don't take it if they won't pay that much. I'm like, okay, you know.
I love her goofy laugh there. It's so real. Okay, so that concludes my interview with the lovely, humble, talented, and helpful Arianna Ratner. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're interested in studying with her, she teaches regularly. She does workouts that are like $30 or $40 at Real Voice LA. She also, if you just click on her website, there's a button to book with her and do private coaching. Or if you need a demo, created, written, produced, directed, if you have a demo that you want to fix up a little bit, she can help you with that too. And so yeah, to all you voiceover talents out there who are really into animation and would love to be doing more of it, I hope that this interview felt like a good resource for you. Check the show notes down below for any other resources. All right.